a couple comments, and we'll open up for for questions.
Okay, as most of you know, it's been a change in plans a little bit. We hit the pause button this morning on having our first day with pads. The approach that we take each day is whatever we're presented with, what we're going to do. So I got the message before practice today that we would stay in the same phase we were in for the first two practices, and I'm talking helmet, jerseys, and shorts. We missed all the spring practice, so there's a lot of fundamental work we need to get done. So we had another good practice, another good non-padded practice. I don't know any more than that as far as what's going to happen in the future, except tomorrow we plan on practicing the same way until someone tells us otherwise. So again, no more information to give you. Besides that, I'll take your question.
All right, Robert, you're up first. Jeremy's on deck.
So, Lovie, can you take us through how long you had to switch gears? I know these practices are charted out well in advance, and if you don't have shoulder pads, you're going to have to change some things. So what was that process like for your staff?
Well, I'll just go first. You're right. We have training camp, every minute kind of mapped out already. But this year going in, we had a couple different plans. And one of the plans was to be fluid. Things could change at any moment. So I found out this morning about an hour, a couple hours, maybe, about an hour and a half before. But that was plenty of time for us to adjust. Again, for us, we've gone through a similar practice the last couple of days, so we just continue to do about the same thing. We're all on the same field today. You have to just anticipate things like this happening so it doesn't throw you off that much.
And for the specifics of it, I'm guessing it's like, one-on-ones with offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that type of thing. You just have to pull it out when you don't have shoulder pads on?
Yes, no, we go back to yesterday we didn't have offense versus defense. So we've already put in 2 days like we practiced today. So again, it wasn't that much of an adjustment.
Good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jeremy's up, and then Matt Stevens on deck.
Lovie, with only 3-4 weeks away from a game, how many padded practices do you think you need to be prepared for a game?
Jeremy, the only way you can approach this is however many we get. And if our opponent was operating under different rules, it would be different. It's not. We're all on the same rules, dealing with the same issues. So however many we get, that's how it'll be. Just keep in mind, my background is the NFL. You had 15 days before your first preseason game, padded game. Even though everybody didn't play that game. So we have time still, of course, to get ready for football. And again, we were right. And for us, as I told the guys, let's not look too far in advance. It's about today. We practiced without pads. Opportunity possibly tomorrow. If not, eventually it'll come around.
And just one more. I know you said, take it one day at a time. You've preached that to your players. How have they responded to all of this change and differences of this season so far?
We've been together long enough now, Jeremy, for the guys to know that you have to, take this approach. So, normally, if we had been about 2 weeks into practice in the training camp, guys would have been pretty pumped up about not going, not having a padded practice. But today it was a little bit different, of course. They went to bed last night ready to, do a little bit of hitting, but they adjusted, and they know eventually it will come.
Thanks, Tom.
Well,
Okay, Matt Stevens, but before that, just a reminder, if you have questions, please let me know in the chat. Matt Stevens, followed by Bob Osmondson.
Hi, Lovie. How are you?
doing great.
I wanted to ask you about not knowing from day to day what the specific plan is going to be. Like you said, how do you go about evaluating your new players, whether they're incoming transfers or incoming freshmen? Does that change your evaluation of how you can go about evaluating them because of the amount of work that they might get in a full contact practice?
No, not really. Again, everybody's dealing with the same sort of rules. So in an ideal world, yeah, we would like a new player. We wanted to go to spring practice and evaluate the guys, but we didn't get a chance to do that. But we're still out here moving around. We're just not having contact. It's not like we're going to be doing a lot of scrimmaging when they tell us that we can put our pads on. That's not how we're going to handle camp this year. So you evaluate players a lot of different ways, just them moving around. We're running plays, going through drills. So we're getting good, we're getting eyes and getting a chance to do some evaluations. We're in the meetings right now, seeing what a guy can handle mentally. So these are the things right now that we can do. So we'll take advantage of those.
One follow-up, you kind of took it from me when you answered Jeremy's question, but I know that you have said since you've been at Illinois, you're a college coach now, but how much of your NFL background have you kind of drawn back to with this type of pandemic and this type of schedule? Because it would seem like the NFL schedule of not doing a whole lot of hitting either in the preseason or during the week, during the season would be able to translate to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I think the days of, as a player a long time ago, we went 3 a days. That's changed an awful lot. There's just not a lot. You can't afford to get a whole lot, a lot of your key players hurt. So that part is just, life nowadays. My NFL background has taught me that you have to be flexible. One of my teams, the players were locked out. And then we had a shorter period of time to get ready then. It seemed like every situation that could possibly happen we've been through. And what I've learned from each one of them is to be flexible. You go into a football game, you have a game plan, but you don't really know what you'll really see until you get to that game, especially the first game. But what you have to be flexible and make adjustments, and that's what we're doing.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Bob Osmussen with John Supini on deck.
Hey, Coach, the MAC today said they're not going to play in the fall. Just your thoughts on that. You guys have played MAC teams. You're going to play a MAC team this year. You're supposed to. Tell me what your thoughts are for those coaches. What do you feel about that?
Well, I would like for everybody that wants to play football to have an opportunity to play football, but I don't know all the circumstances that led up to that. But I can't say that it's a great happy day when you have people that want to play football, that circumstances won't allow us to do that. Normally falls are about playing ball. The MAC has a long tradition of playing ball. We were playing MAC team, we played them and played them this year too. So again, we just got off the field, so I haven't really seen any of the details behind that. So can't really respond much to it besides that.
Coach, one more thing. Brandon Prettiers is played for you. He's back this year. How important is he going to be? His experience, how critical is that for a team with the situation you guys are in?
Well, in college, I think everybody would say that they would like to have a fifth-year quarterback that you really believe in and you really like throwing the ball, running offense, all those things, on and off the field. So we can't be in a better situation. We were lucky last year to, the stars just aligned a little bit for us to be able to get Brandon here. And I know he's really looking forward to his senior year, and we're leaning on that experience too. We have some young players, Deuce Span, young quarterback here. What better way to learn than to have a, guy that's seen it all and done it all in front of you.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Okay, John Supini, Gavin Good, Joey Wagner in order.
Coach, yeah, about Brandon, how much more do you expect from him this year now that he's in the system again for this year? And just give me your can you speak to how he came in this year? It sounds like he came in really good shape.
He came in great shape. The first group of athletes we had on campus, he was a part of, been leading, working hard. How many quarterbacks love just sprinting, change direction drills, grinding, stadiums, all those things. Brandon has been doing it all. But you need your lead out front, leading by example, and that's what he's been doing. And just second year in the system. This time last year, he just gotten on the campus, so he's learned so much more about our offense. He and Rod, of course, having, another year to work together. Him also knowing his receivers, Josh Baby, Brandon and Josh kind of said hello about this time last year. Didn't know anything about each other. So he's getting to know his receivers well, and he's pretty comfortable. We just need to play.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, Gavin, Joey, and then Terry Towery.
Hey, Lovie, good to see you again. A couple days here without pads, but, I'm sure you're starting to, make some sort of evaluations, as you were saying. I'm curious what you think about the running back position right now, coming off losing Dre and Reggie. Looks like you got a lot of guys who could factor into the mix and are pretty talented.
Yeah, I try not to make too many evaluations right now. We've had 3 practices without any pads, but some of the things you can see, they're all athletic. They can catch the ball, they can move, all those things you're looking for in a running back. We like the potential of the athletes coming through. You mentioned some of the guys you mentioned, rush for a lot of yards. But having a veteran offensive line coming back, that gives you confidence too. And, Mike Epstein is healthy now. Chase Brown, of course, is eligible to play this year. There's a lot of positive things going on. So we feel like our running game could be even stronger this year. That's what we've seen.
You got a little bit of a look at Chase Brown after he was eligible last year and you saw him practicing. What do you think he brings to the table?
I think he can do it all. I mean, as a running back, I think he can run in between the tackles. He can make him miss in the open field. He can catch the football. I probably have a little bit better evaluation of him than what you would normally have because he was going against the one defense just about all last year. And if you asked any of those guys, they will be voicing giving you some of the same opinions I am about what he can do. Again, he can catch the ball, he can make a miss in open field. He's a tough guy, just needs to play.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, Joey Wagner, and then Terry Towery.
Hey, Lovie, hope you're doing well. I know we talked about the transfer market on Thursday, but what is it about your pitch as a football staff that you think resonates with some of these transfers, whether it be grad transfer or a sit-out transfer?
Well, I think, Joey, you have to, first off, you have to have a plan, and is this you? And we made the decision, this is us. So we believe in, as I said yesterday, second chances for the right guys. And then I think history kind of takes you on a path. Now we've had success. Guys from outside can look in and see that we've had success. Graduate transfers have come here and had success. And then for us as a staff, we've had so many good men have come into our program that just needed a second chance. That's why I believe in it even more. So now we have history of doing it, and people will always be looking for a new home. Divorce is a part of our lives, and it can have a happy ending.
Then I guess, we did talk about the MAC a bit ago, but there's been talk of some conferences maybe looking at spring football as an option. Over the course of the last 5 months, have you put much consideration into what that could look like or what that would feel like for you guys as a university? Yeah, and as we're telling players, I mean, we're trying to look at it the same way. We're practicing football right now. We want to play. I want to play. They want to play. They tell us we can't play right now. When's the next time we can play? If that's the spring, so be it. Eventually, we're going to have football. So we're going to embrace that time whenever it comes. Right now, no one has told us we're not playing right now. So we're looking forward to that opening game against Ohio State. And if things change and they say it's the spring, we'll look forward to the spring. We missed spring last year, so we need to get spring football in some kind of way. Thanks, Lovie.
You're welcome.
All right, and last question will come from Marley, and as Terry's was already answered. So Marley, you're up.
Hey, Lovie, I know a lot of people have talked about, football moving to the spring, things with the MAC. I guess when there comes a point where a decision is being made by the Big Ten or the conference or the school, how involved are you with those decision-making processes, if you are at all?
Well, Marley, we've, as coaches, Big Ten coaches, we've been meeting almost weekly since April. So, and we've met with the ADs, the commissioner's been on with us. Everyone has tried to keep the coaches involved and informed as much as possible. But in the end, we as coaches aren't making many of those decisions. Of course, Josh and I have, you know, we've been married for a while, and he knows exactly what I want. And of course, we're on the same page as far as what we want. But eventually it's, you know, even with Josh, I mean, the presidents, the heads of universities are going to make these kind of decisions. So we realize that. And we live on the things that we can control. That's what I do. You know, the players have opinions, but in the end, as a head football coach, I'm going to make the decision. And I'm in the same situation we are as coaches, and we're okay with that.
Have you listened, have your players maybe given you any feedback that you're taking and moving forward or bringing to Josh's attention at all?
Marley, our players give feedback always. Think about college guys. They have opinions about everything, and I encourage it, and I listen to it. And when I forget something, it's brought to my attention quite often. Like today, Daniel Barker, you know, we have a lot of things going on, but I forgot we didn't have music. We hadn't had music at practice. He reminded me of that today. But no, seriously, we listen to them. They're involved. After practice today, I let the guys know exactly what I knew, which was not a whole lot, except for the reason why we practiced this way today instead of pads was because of the direction we had got.
Thank you, Lovie.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time. All right. See you tomorrow.
All right.
Okay. We're getting Rod Smith situated here. If you do have questions for Rod and the offense specifically, please add that to the chat, and we'll get you lined up going with him here. All right, Rod, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Let's see. We got Joey Wagner with the first question, and then Bob Osmundson.
Hey Rod, hope you're doing well. You know, we've talked a lot about this offensive line and, you know, 4 guys back and, you know, maybe the addition of Blake in there filling that 5th spot. But for you as an offensive coordinator, what's that like having such an experienced group that, you know, you've really known for 3 years as well?
It gives you a level of peace per se, that you know what you have. I've been around these guys now for 2 seasons, getting ready to go on to the 3rd, and so we know what they can and can't do. We know what their strengths are. So we know our football team better than we've ever had, hopefully. And obviously our offensive line with so much experience coming back is something as a unit that we're definitely going to rely on throughout the whole entire year, because we have tremendous confidence in that whole entire bunch.
And then Blake is a grad transfer. Obviously, Brandon and Josh, you guys have had success in both the transfer and grad transfer market. What is it, do you think, about your presentation to these athletes to, you know, get these commitments and make them feel comfortable in Champaign?
Yeah, no, good question. You know, to me, one thing that I'm always looking for in a recruit, whether it's a underclass, whether it's a guy coming out of high school, or it's a grad transfer, or even just a transfer, is you want a guy that's competitive and that's got a competitive edge to it. And I think we appeal to that. Some guys get caught up in the numbers game at other schools. Some guys have an injury that caused them to fall on the depth chart and never had a chance to really to show what they have. And sometimes we can provide a platform that gives these guys an opportunity to go out and show exactly who they are. And to me, when you get guys like that, and when you talk, you got to do your research. You got to talk to them. You got to find out who they are, and you got to identify them. And when you find out if they're a competitive person and they're self-driven internally, those are the best ones. And because those guys got something to prove. They want to come here. They understand this is their second chance, and they probably work harder than they've ever worked in their life because it's important to them. And that's what you look for a kid. Now, not every one of them work out. There's ones I'm sure that won't, but we've been fortunate so far. We think we did pretty good as far as in our evaluation. And, those guys, once again, we'll keep on looking at that transfer market as well because that's been good to us.
Thanks, Rod.
Okay,
Hey,
Bob.
Coach.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Bob.
Coach. Yeah, Coach, got a couple for you. First of all, Brandon Peters, I know it's early, but how has he looked the first few days? Can you tell he's been working hard during the offseason?
Yeah, he's been sharp. He's looked like he did towards the end of last year. And, he's been on point with his throws, decision making so far for the first 3 days. You can tell he's comfortable. He understands what we're doing. And he's in a different level right now than what he was last year at this time, much different. So excited about his progress. Plus, he has his body in great shape. He's always been a very mature, level-headed young man. But to me, he's in another level right now mentally and physically as well. So excited about where he's going right now.
The other one is, Coach, I know coaches like to talk they kind of like the gossips. If you had contact with some of your friends in the business, kind of what you guys talking, is there kind of an ongoing conversation amongst you and your friends in the business?
Yeah, we all want to play. I mean, everybody, we're a coach, right? We're a coach. We do this for a living. God bless my wife. I can't do anything else. I can't build a house. I can't fix a car. I mean, I'm pretty useless besides coaching football, so I better be good at that. But when you don't have the opportunity to do that, it kind of leaves you wondrously aiming sometimes, as far as aimlessly thinking, okay, what do we do? And so that's probably the fear. The fear of you want to be able to coach. You want to be able to impact kids' lives and do what you do. So it's always the fear of the unknown. But at the same time, Bob, I try to dwell in the positive side. I try to. I'm a person of faith, and I just think things are going to happen for a reason, and it's meant to be. If we're meant to play, then we're going to play. If we're not, there's a reason. But there will be another day that we will play. So I don't know. That's not in our hands. All we can do is prepare every day and get ready for this season.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we'll go to Gavin, and then Jeremy, and then Alec.
Rod, it's obviously tough to have any real evaluations without pads and just a couple practices, but I'm curious of how you're feeling about the running back position right now with all those guys in the mix.
Yeah, I think Coach Bellamy's repping about 27 of them out there right now. It seems like there's a long line of them. There's a bunch of them, but they're doing good. They're all looking real well. And now, take that for what it's worth. We haven't banged anybody. We haven't tackled or any thud or anything. But boy, they look good in their shorts and their jerseys and their helmets. They're all going the right direction. Really like the leadership that Mike's providing with those guys. And so far, so good. Been very pleased with them.
You haven't really had a fully healthy Mike Epstein to work with so far, it seems, at least, in your time at Illinois. How important is he, at full strength? How dangerous of a back is he?
Great question. I think Mike is different. He's different when he's healthy. And he makes us different. He makes us complete. He's that back that, in my opinion, that can run between the tackles. He can even get outside. He's strong, physical. He can pass protect. He's really good with the ball in his hands in route receiving as well. So, Mike's a complete back, and I think we're a better football team when Mike Epstein's healthy.
Yeah, and then you got a chance to kind of see Chase Brown last year after he was declared eligible and use him just a little bit. What do you think he brings to the table, and how maybe does he contrast with Mike?
It's been interesting you asked me that because he's a guy that obviously we want to get a better look at. And Chase is a good-looking young man, runs really well. Once again, we're not in pads, so it's kind of like a beauty contest right now, right? Everybody looks pretty right now. So, but what happens when the bullets start flying? That's when everybody will separate itself. But right now, I've been pleased with his progress. He seems like he's really studied his role in terms of responsibilities of running back, so he's not busting, which is a huge part. That to me, that's the biggest stride that we've made as well. Not just running back, but every position. There's not as many mistakes right now that they're mentally going through. Everybody kind of knows what they're doing is. So practice is operating a lot more smoother. There's no balls, not as many balls on the ground. Last 2 years, we had more balls on the ground than a damn wrecked grocery store, for God's sake. But this year, it's been pretty good so far.
Thanks, Rod. Good to see you again.
You too, man.
All right, Jeremy, Alec, and then Robert Rosenthal.
Hey, Rod. Hope you're well. Brandon isn't a very self-promoting guy. Doesn't talk a lot. Didn't do any interviews, anything like that. I know that he's got a swagger to him, but does that have an impact at all when Brandon just kind of carries himself that way as opposed to being the guy who loves being the big man on campus?
I think it does. I mean, but like Jeremy, that's a great point. But I also tell every quarterback in our room, be yourself, right? Don't try to, if you're not a rah-rah guy, don't try to be that because you'll sound fake. You'll come off fake. Guys will know. They see right through that. Your teammates will be the first one to see what they call a buster, right? The guys that are fake. So, be yourself. And that's what Brandon is. And I think the way Brandon handles himself, he provides leadership through his work ethic, right? But when Brandon does speak, boy, everybody listens to it. You know what I mean? Because he's a man of few words, but when he does speak, he's got everybody's ear because of the respect that he's commanded that he's gotten from everybody else. So, I've seen different type of leadership styles. I've seen the rah-rahs. I've seen now Brandon. I've had a kid named Anu Solomon at Arizona. It was kind of a subtle, not as talkative type guy. To me, are they effective, right? Can you lead people? And can you get people to follow you? That's what it all comes down to. And this team believes in Brandon Peters.
Is there anything you have to do different as an offensive coordinator if you don't have the rah-rah guy as a quarterback?
Yeah, well, I got to watch myself. I got to make sure I'm the cool when I'm around because, sometimes I'm the one that's kind of off kilter with him because he's so cool, and he's good for me, to be honest with you. But my job is to make sure, and I tell Brandon all the time, my job is to take you where you can't take yourself. So I'm going to try to get them out of their comfort zone. I'm going to try to, get under their skin a little bit, particularly in practice. I want practice to be harder than hopefully what the games are. You say that, but I'm talking about mentally, so that they're completely prepared by the time they get their own game.
Thanks, Rod.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, Alec, Robert Rosenthal, and then Marley.
Hey, Rod, good to see you again. I know you spoke a little bit about the running backs and how it's a beauty contest, right? But what kind of things are you looking for in determining your depth chart right now through these first couple of days?
Well, to be honest with you, we're not setting the depth chart right now. There's got to be a starting point. There's got to be a group that goes out, and that'll be the guys that's probably had the most experience right now. But at the same time, the depth chart won't take care of itself till we get deeper into camp. We're actually going against live bullets. That's when you can really tell. And that's not just running backs. That's quarterbacks. That's every position. That'll separate itself. That'll tell you the guys that are ready to play on Main Street and the other guys that play on State Street. So you'll figure out the two as camp goes on. So no big rush there. We got time.
In terms of Reggie Love, obviously he's coming off of a couple of foot injuries. What kind of things have you seen from him in these first couple of days?
Really impressed with Reggie Love and super excited. This kid's got a great feel to him. We've been teaching our techniques, our mesh points, our tracks, the vision, who they're reading, a certain read. And Reggie's just got a really good feel for our run game, and it's a natural feel. You could tell he's did some of it before, but he's natural with it. He's a good-looking kid. He's thick. He can run. I wouldn't call him a burner, but he can run. He runs well. He's going to be a good, strong guy that can run in between the tackles, and very smart, picks things up very quick. You don't have to tell him 2 times. Tell him once, he's got it, which I really like.
Do you feel like your running backs kind of all bring a different skill set, and how important is that heading into a season like this year?
Well, I think guys have different skills. I don't know if they're all different, but there's got some guys are, maybe a little bit more in between the tackle bodies. Some guys are more, they can run in the tackle, but they can get out in space as well. So to me, our job is to make sure that we put them in position to be able to maximize what their strengths are, right? Jakari can run in between the tackles or outside the tackle. We also know when Jakari gets seen, he's got the speed that he can make big plays. So key is to get guys out in space somehow, or getting one-on-one situations, and let those guys go to work.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Robert, followed by Marley.
Hey, Rod, congrats on your twin babies. You have a lot more options now with Daniel and Mater Bebe and plus Luke Ford. Tell me about your tight ends and what having multiple different kind of looks there, and maybe even putting three on the field at the same time, what that gives you.
Yeah, well, Daniel's first day was actually today. So today was his first day of actually getting to practice. And to be honest with you, he looked really good, really good. So excited about the addition of him. He's quite a specimen and can really run, and just a very good football player, it looks like. Once again, we're in pads, we're not in pads. So it's a beauty contest right now. He damn sure looks pretty right now, but we'll see what happens as we keep moving forward. But our tight end position, to me, has really gotten much improved. Daniel Barker is playing his best football right now. He's looked really good so far. Luke Ford has looked really good so far. 3 days, but you can tell he's learned. He's learning. He's not busting as much as what he used to. There's still some work that needs to be done, but both those kids are talented kids. And then you add Daniel to the mix. Coach Patterson's over smiling right now a little bit. So I told him when the things go bad, I'm going to tell him you're telling me what plays to call. When things go good, get the hell out of the way. I'm going to call it. So, but can we go through three tight ends? Yeah, possibly. I mean, we'll see. We're going to make sure we try to be as multiple with our formations and our personnel as we can. We like to also know we got some pretty good wideouts as well with Trayvon Sidney and Donnie Navarro and some guys like that as well, and Josh Bebe. That we'll be multiple with it and always try to make sure we get our best 11 on the field if we can.
Do you lean in that direction where, say that the tight end position is the strongest, and you want to get them where you will kind of switch up your game planning just to get them on the field, or do you just look at what the defense you're expecting and game plan that way?
Well, I think it's always, Robert, it's always about how you match up against an opposing defense, right? How can you create matchups? If that's something that you can create a matchup in, then obviously you look at it. If you're better off spreading them out and trying to get people in space and make them play out there, then maybe you go a little more wide out. So to me, it all depends on who you're playing, how you think you can exploit a defense. But once again, it all goes back to we got to make sure that we dictate by playing the best 11, right? So whoever that is, whether that's two tailbacks, whether that's three tight ends, whether that's two tight ends, or whatever. We got to make sure whoever the best 11 is. The best 11 don't mean because he's the most athletic. They also got to know fundamentally what they're doing, right? Assignment-wise, it does no good if I have a 4-3 guy out there that can't run the right route, busts every time, and screws the whole entire play. Because one guy in football can mess up an entire play. So we got to make sure we know we're sound schematic-wise as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Marley, Soupy, Matt Stevens.
Hey, Rod. I know we're living in a very fluid time right now. So does depth become more important for you guys, or are you changing anything about practice or how you're preparing guys to be the next man up in the event, there's a positive test or there's the virus that might wipe out a couple guys before game day?
Right. Well, we try to basically, there's protocols been set in by our training staff that we try to adhere to. We're constantly trying to social distance, keep our guys spread out when they're not in. We try to, our guys are wearing masks or face shields. Our coaches are doing the same thing. We're trying to keep our distance as much as we can. I tell our guys, I'm going to coach them. I'm going to try to treat it like everybody's got it. So I'm going to make sure I'm cautious just like everybody else. But it's still football. At some point, guys are going to collide. Guys are going to be in contact. So, we just got to do our part moving forward daily. And I think our guys have been doing a really good job. And we can control what we can control here while we have them. Where we get concerned is once they leave here, right? And then the players have got to take the responsibility to make sure they're in the right area, to make sure they're around the right people, they're not having visitors over, all those type of things, because so much is at stake here. And Mark, you're right. One person could get affected and affect the whole entire team. So it's super important that how we prepare. Well, we always prepare. We always try to go 3 deep if we can. So 3 different groups are trying to get reps. If one man goes down, the next man's got to be ready to step up. So we try to get as many reps and preparation as we can. But yeah, so we're trying. The kids are doing a good job. They're trying their bust their butt right now, trying to adhere to all the protocols.
So does that become a matter of in practice, like giving the second or third string more reps? I mean, how do you go about to prepare someone under Brandon Peters, for example, to prepare to be in the game?
Good question. We try to practice at a tempo that's an up-paced tempo at times. No, we didn't do it all the time. We haven't did it now because we're still early, but we will as time goes on, and we'll let the ones get 4 to 6 reps, and then the twos will go in and get the same 4 to 6 reps again, and then if we have time, we'll get 3s. If not, we go. So we're constantly trying to rep as many groups as we can, but we don't walk around. There's no walking in practice. We're moving, we're rolling, and we're getting as many reps as we can. We coach on the run a little bit as a staff, and then we really do a lot of coaching in the film room.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. This is John Sapini. What did you see in Brandon? You were talking a minute ago about transfers, and you use like competitive edges and guys who are really taking advantage of a second chance. What did you see in him that you really liked?
Well, you go back and you look at Michigan film from when he played. That's the most recent film. And he did some good things early on in Michigan. And then he got beat up a little bit, got some injuries, and obviously he declined a little bit in play after he got hurt. But he's playing hurt. You go back and you look at his high school film, and you see the skill set that he had in high school. We always look for guys. I say it all the time. You want guys, if you look for intangibles, you want guys that first off can throw the football. That's the first thing you look for. Then you want a guy who hopefully has some dual threat capability, that has the ability to make one guy miss or extend a play. You don't have to be 4 or 5 flat guy. You don't have to be Michael Vick, but at the same time, you got to be able to extend plays. Brandon was athletic enough that he could do that, and I thought he was different throwing the football. That's what he was doing. He was different throwing the football. So you want somebody who's dynamic in certain areas, and I just thought he was. The more you watch him, and then you get a chance to meet him and talk to him, and understand this kid. He's competitive now. He's eager to prove what happened at Michigan is not him, and I think. That's why the more you got a chance to know him, once again, you cross-reference with the film you watched. I thought he'd been a great pick for us to bring in. I'm glad we did.
And what have you seen different, and where have you seen Williams grow at quarterback from last year to this year?
He's thicker. He's gotten bigger, stronger physically. Isaiah is probably one of the smartest guys in the room. So he knows what's going on. He was one of the smarter guys in the room last year as a freshman. Very, very smart. He's worked all season on his throwing, continuing to become a better thrower. I think his arm's gotten a little bit stronger, and he's gotten better. So that's just his continued development of what being a quarterback or what he can do. So that way he's not a one-dimensional kid. And You know, so I think he just continued to grow. You know, his best football is by far still ahead of him, and really excited about Isaiah to watch him, see how much better he can get as well, because he brings a lot of things to the table that other guys don't have. Right now, we've got a guy by the name of Brandon Peters that's playing some good football, playing good football, so he gets a chance to sit back here and take reps and learn and continue to develop, which is a good thing.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Matt Stevens will wrap things up today.
Rod, just to add on to that question, where are you right now with how you're evaluating your quarterbacks behind Brandon? I know you didn't have a spring and you would have loved to have had that opportunity to mold those guys, but do you feel like you're in a better place at quarterback behind Brandon than you were last year? Because that QB2 is, as we know, pretty important if Brandon has to go down.
No doubt, absolutely. Yeah, you know, that's what was so frustrating, because Brandon, you know, I was wanting Brandon's never had a spring here at Illinois ever. He got here 2 weeks before camp started. You know, learned on the run. You know, he didn't get this spring, which would have been so huge, I think, for his continued development. Isaiah Williams, same way. He needed a spring. Matt Robinson needed the spring. All those guys, Karan, all of them. But I will tell you this, that the bowl practices really helped our guys. That ended up being our spring practice, to be honest with you. So there's a different air of confidence, I think, within the unit. Karan knows much more what he's doing. He's looked much better. Matt's looked pretty good so far as well. Isaiah's, I mean, all of them have been doing good. The ones that are lost right now are Deuce and Josh, the two young pups, but that's natural. So they're kind of in that storm right now. But I've been really pleased at the work these guys have put in mentally, and you can tell they're much more comfortable. We're in a better place right now at quarterback. You're talking about behind Brandon than we were last year. So really like the direction we're going.
A quick follow-up. I know it's no pads, so it's impossible to evaluate offensive linemen, but I was curious if you could tell us what you really liked about Blake Terasati in order to bring him in, and what you liked from him at a lower FCS level that you thought could translate to an immediate impact guy on your offensive line.
You know, there's a lot of players that play at that lower level, FCS level, that are tremendous football players. And there's certain, once again, you go back, characteristics you look for at every position. And there's also got to be a mindset, you know, to every kid. And when you talk to Blake, you feel it as soon as you talk to him. And you see it in the way he plays. That dude went up against Clemson, one of the top teams in the country last year, right? And he held his own, did a really good job against those guys. And that was at center, which to me is even harder. So I'm excited about Blake. Blake's got really good technique, really good feet, strong. He's not going to be the most linear guy, but I tell you what, the dude's a football player. And I'm excited about him. Our kids love him. He has gelled and meshed with our guys. You would think he's been here for 4 years with our guys. And he's part of the family. Love him. And I can't wait to watch him tee it up this year.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. Appreciate all your time. Rod, thank you for your time today.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you all. Y'all stay safe out there.
We may have updates tomorrow. We'll see. All right, guys. Have a good one.